Hello, everyone, and welcome to Small Town Big Business, a podcast about doing big business in small towns. I'm your co-host for today, Deb Barnett, and I'm also the Executive Director for Southern Illinois Now, where we focus on economic development in the 17 southernmost counties in Illinois.
And I'm Russ Williams. I'm Director of Ethos, Small Business Incubator, Co-working Spaces, Training and Development here at the Citadel Building on Tower Square Plaza in Marion, Illinois. We want to thank you for joining us, and we want to thank our sponsors. Couldn't make this possible 100 plus episodes without our sponsors. So thanks to Arcadia Wealth Group, Banterra Bank, Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, Southern Illinois Now, the Swinford Media Group, Union Street Arts, and of course, the Watermark Auto Group Foundation.
If you're joining us for the first time, we interview small business owners and founders about how and why they're successful in small towns like right here in Marion, Illinois. And today's guest is right here in Marion, Illinois. In fact, we can see your business from the window.
We can. If we smash our face against the window, we can see it.
Yeah, the newest business in town, I think. Just a month old.
Probably, just over a month.
Yeah. So Jennifer Colbert, Bits and Pieces. We're going to learn all about you, all about the business. But as I mentioned, you were just right here on off Tower Square, and we can see you from the recording room right here at Ethos.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Jennifer, tell us about you. Southern Illinois native. Did you move here later in life? Tell us about you a little bit.
I was born and raised in Heron.
Okay.
Born in Heron Hospital.
So for those who aren't familiar, the Heron is just the next town over, just right down the road.
Yeah. And then after high school, I went to the University of Evansville, where I got my master's degree in physical therapy. Worked there for a few years, but then wanted to come back home. So then started working for a local corporation here, and worked with them for 27 years.
27 years. Wow. In physical therapy?
In physical therapy.
Okay. So now you're an entrepreneur, you're in business. Have you always sort of been entrepreneurial minded, or is this brand new for you?
I always had little side gigs.
Okay.
It wasn't physical therapy. I was lucky that I found physical therapy whenever I was young, and I knew that's what I wanted to do with my life initially. But I always had little creative side gigs. I always had to have a creative or artistic outlet of some sort. And so this kind of comes from that. Okay. That those side gigs or those outlets kept going as I became an adult. And so I would, I did all kinds of different genres, crafts, whatever. And so I started to do hand-cut collage, which is now my passion. I was doing antique booths, all this kind of stuff. And so then it was like, well, I kind of want to do something different.
Okay.
Where do you think that love of antiques comes from?
That's a good question. I think it's the history of it. I've always liked the story part of things, because I got that a lot when I was a physical therapist too, with a lot of my older patients, and they would tell you stories about different things, or when they grew up, or their little husband or wife would come in and they'd be all sweet and give little kisses and be like, oh, how long have you been married? Oh, 60 years, or something crazy. And so I think it's about the history or the story of something, and also the thrill of the hunt.
I was going to add that too, because I hear you're a great searcher.
It's a little bit the thrill of the hunt too. But my mother-in-law is into antiques too, so she shares that love, and then we kind of bounce things around too. And and it's just it's a creative thing too, because those antiques were something somebody else made, and just to kind of look at that and appreciate that work.
Were you doing some of this work at home before you found a storefront, or? Yeah, I
was working at home. We had turned a bedroom into like a she shed craft room, whatever you want to call it.
Isn't that where all the great businesses start?
And I had an Etsy store. And then I started doing vendor shows and going out to Mandala Gardens and all that kind of stuff. And then, like I said, it was just like, I kind of want these side gigs to be my real gig. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to have a different challenge.
So this wasn't 27 years as a physical therapist, and then the next day you're opening a store. It seems like it was kind of a long time in the making and over the course of time.
Yeah.
So what caused you to then make that decision?
So about 3 or 4 years ago, I started having anxiety and panic attacks. And that's whenever I really got into collage. Because I'm not somebody who can meditate per se. But whenever I would sit down, because I don't do digital collage, I don't do anything computer generated. This is hand cut. So it's me with a knife, with books and magazines. I'm cutting images and composing. So for me to be very focused on this piece that I have and be using that knife and being very meticulous of how I'm cutting out, it is a mindfulness, it is a meditation, it's very calming. So you're getting kind of like therapy through art.
I love that. So do you also, do other folks, so tell us about the business. You mentioned collage. Tell us how that works into the business, how other people can participate, what your store looks like. Just give us an inside look.
So the store is bits and pieces, art and antiques.
Okay.
So I have my art up there. So my hand-cut collage is there. I also am featuring a local artist every month. So we're wrapping up with Mandy Daly and some of her photography. Next month, I have one of my daughter's friends, and this gal she's one of those ones that was like me. My daughter's the same way, that has her hands on a little bit of everything, wants to try it all. Very crafty, went to cosmetology school like my daughter with her class, then is now getting into tattoo artist. So she's got all kinds of whimsy and just energy, and so she's going to be our November person. So we do that.
And how do you make those connections?
Well, fortunately, I am friends or acquaintances with a lot of creative people.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people I have met here in the downtown.
Marion is a great place. Marion downtown is a great place
here in the
that.
downtown. I've met them at Mandala. I just know them.
Right.
And then we have all the antiques in the store. In addition to that, and with the collages, I do original work, but I can also do custom. So I have done, 7 or 8 commissions where people are like, I want it to kind of feel like this, or look like this, or have this kind of, at least this in it, and then you can go around. So I do that. And then I offer a collage class.
Okay.
I'm doing that once a month. So with a collage class, it's a 2-hour class, and I go through and do a brief history of what collage is, how it came to be. And then it goes into, this is how we do it. These are the tools you use. And then I give them a starter kit as part of their fee for coming to the class. So they have everything they need to make a collage at the class. And then I talk to them about, if you want to continue, you can upgrade to this, to this, to this. And so I have things that they can see and feel and touch and, look at. And so then whenever they leave with their own unique piece of art, because I love paint and sip. I love all those things. Those are so much fun. But it's a little bit different when you're looking at collage because you're moved by an image. You're not looking at a blank piece of paper or a blank canvas and going from there. There's something that starts it.
So that thing that starts it, can people bring their own? Yes. So if it's their own, maybe they're trying to make gifts, for family members or something. So they can bring their own pictures and everything as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I just did a class on Saturday, and I had this gal. She's like, so I brought some of my own stuff. Is that okay? I'm like, oh, sure, no problem. And then she starts bringing in like 2 milk crates. And I'm like, hey, whatever makes you happy. And if that's what you need, she's like, whenever I get here, I'm just afraid I'm not going to have something. And then I like to be surrounded by my stuff. And I said, that's fine. Whatever.
I was just thinking, I think that would be a great way to preserve some of the pictures. Now, so many pictures now are digital, and we don't print pictures much anymore. A lot of folks don't. But a great way to really preserve, a piece in time or a family album almost in a collage type of thing. I think that's really not necessarily a family album, but kind of that story,
And with her, she was what they call a junk journalist. So, all these little bitty journals that have little pieces of everything in it and pictures and all that kind of stuff. And is a form of collage. There's different kinds. I tend to be more like into, I don't know if you guys got to see the website or the images, but photo montage type things that are out there. Some things are real pretty. Some things are a little bit scary. So, I've got things that have cats in space with antique glass and mushrooms, or it can be that you're looking at something that has a screaming face and a snake and fall leaves, or, it runs the gamut. So not as much, my stuff is not as much the scrapbooking type stuff, but more,
just art.
Just art.
Yeah.
It is. It's just art.
And that's dependent on the person, right?
And it is. It's dependent upon the person. It's dependent upon my mood. Sometimes I'll go through and I do a series of 3 or 4 that are similar but not the same. And then maybe not. Maybe it's just a one-off or something like that. The other day I did one in the shop whenever things were a little bit slow in between customers, and I was coming down with sinus stuff from this lovely weather, and I must have been angry. I must have been angry that I was getting sick, and you could feel it in this collage.
Wow. That's so interesting.
We've mentioned that you're located downtown, small town, Marion, Illinois.
Yes.
Did the space find you, or did you find the space?
I found this, my friend Libby found this space.
Okay. And what were you looking for? Did you have an image in your mind?
I did not.
Okay.
So my thing was that I knew about the growth that was happening down here. I know it's going to get even bigger. I know that it's just going to be teeming and thriving, right? So you want to get in on that. And I was talking to my friend Libby from Glacier's Inn. And I said, I really kind of want to do this, but I don't know. And so she was telling me about the building, and she's like, I think they've got, places for lease in there. You should check it out. I didn't even tell my husband that I was going to go look at it. Well, and it was one of those things of, I needed to know if it was even feasible. How much is this going to cost? What else is going to be involved? I wanted information to present to him if I really thought I was going to go forward with it, because it's a big deal. If I'm not going to be out there being a physical therapist anymore or doing anything else but trying to be a sole proprietor of a business, I had to have information.
It's a big leap of faith. And so making sure you're well informed, you have, like you said, all the numbers in order, you know exactly what you're getting into. It's really smart.
Yeah, so Libby found it.
There you go. Well, it's really great to be connected, and Libby Irvin's one of the gyms to be connected to.
Oh my gosh!
And they've made
Gym is the right name.
They've made a commitment to downtown too.
They really have.
Other connections that have helped you start the business?
Well, of course, Steve Fowler, because he owns the building. Yeah. And then Joni.
Another person dedicated to downtown.
Yes. Oh, definitely. He's very pro-business, very helpful. So whenever I was talking to him and Joni Barwick is helping him manage that building, they were so helpful, and I was like, well, but I need this to kind of be like that, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll just do this, we'll do that, put in a commercial door for me because I'm at the back of the building. So yeah, it's so helpful, both of them, Derek and Libby both, because they're like Derek and Libby, and then Kara probably would be like business mentors.
Yeah.
In my circle, yeah. So they definitely are a great business support, but also friend support.
Yeah, and Kara's at Milkweed Provisions. That's her business here on the square. Yeah, that's awesome.
Let's talk more about that community, because you mentioned the community of creatives, but then we've also talked about the business community here in Marion. And I would say as recent as 5 years ago, I mean, this Tower Square did not look like it does now.
4 years ago.
4 years ago. 4 years ago.
When I moved up here.
Yeah,
I could tell you.
And it took the vision and commitment of those few people that started, and then that's just built and built. Like you said, now you want to be here because it's growing, and you know that it's going to continue to grow. So talk about how this business community that's been built really just over the past few years works together and keeps that momentum going and keeps new folks coming in too.
Yeah, I think, so again, just being open a month and a half, I'm probably more reliant on that, but I try to also give it, right? Because you want to develop that culture in downtown. We refer people to each other, Kara or Derek and Libby, Katie, everybody around the square is like, oh, have you been here? Have you been there? Just go around that way. I even had one of the gals from down here at Little Egypt Arts Association walk a customer around the corner into my shop just so she could know where it was.
Yeah, that's good.
So, I mean, it's to have her do that, I was just blown away that someone would physically bring somebody to me. And everybody's always like, yeah, if you need anything, you just let me know, or we're doing this, or, hey, did you see this post about this stuff going on? Because they know I'm new. They don't want me to miss something. So yeah, I think the culture it's really great. I think it's even going to get better.
Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head with culture, because I was thinking, I don't want listeners to think, oh, this can only happen in Marion. There definitely is something very special happening in Marion, but this can happen in any small town. And it really is about culture, and it's a commitment to that, building that business community, building those connections, being a friendly place to be, we look around the square now, it's so walkable and it's just inviting, and all the investments that have been made, but that can happen anywhere.
Absolutely.
It just takes commitment.
And so if some of our audience are entrepreneurs in their own small town, and they see you and they're like, she's in her first month and she's still alive, right? Right? Can you speak to them and speak a little bit about maybe the good, the bad, and the ugly, even in your first month?
Yeah. So the good is getting to share my art with people, getting to help other local artists. That's you get joy. Not only do you get joy for yourself, but you get to give other people joy, right? There's the curation of those antiques and the stories that are, so I'm going with the joys first. Finding those things for the customers, just being part of this growing community. And I love the stories. Again, the stories. I love it when they come in and they're like, oh, I remember when I was young and we had this, or my grandma had this, or, things like that. I also love whenever I had a couple gals come into the shop, and I'd say they're probably late 60s, early 70s, and they're like, oh, I'm really impressed. You have things here that I haven't seen anywhere else. And I was like, oh, well, thank you very much. So, and they're like, keep doing a good job. So that affirmation is really nice. As far as, I think challenges would be visibility, from where I'm at in the building, and just being a new business.
Just getting your name and the awareness.
Yeah. Just to be people to be aware that you even exist is one thing, let alone finding you once they know you exist. So visibility, I think, is a big thing, and then managing growth, right? So I want to do everything right now, but I probably need to just reel it in a little bit and go about it at a good pace, smartly, and then you don't get in over your head. Would I like more space? Sure. Would I like a big storefront? Sure. But it's good to start small, get a following, get out there, let people know who you are, and then
And is that something you realized, or do you have mentors that maybe have walked this path a little further than you have, that have given you that advice?
Both, yeah. So my people I talked about before, when talking about things or talking about frustrations or whatever, they're like, yes, we've been there, we know, we understand. Whenever I'm talking to Derek and Libby or Kara or whatever. It is definitely, and it's nice to have those people to bounce things off of. My husband is a great sounding board. He is also someone who can bring me down out of the clouds every once in a while and be like, I know, but. And he's on my social media accounts too, so he likes to critique and suggest on my social media, which is good.
Husbands are good at that.
I like any help is good, and he's good at that.
Do you want to mention his name or not so much?
His name is Matt.
Yeah. Shout out to Matt.
Shout out to Matt.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What have we missed? I don't want to. I do have a final question that may be a little bit down the road, but that I always like to ask. But what have we missed?
We can talk about holiday plans, or anything for the new year too.
I think for me, social media right now is key, and that we try to make it fun. We try to make it engaging, to get people to notice us, to follow us, to come in,
And which social media platforms are you on? How do people find you?
We're on primarily Facebook is where I do most of my stuff, but Instagram also. I'm on TikTok. I've got all those links on our Facebook page.
Okay. And it's under Bits and Pieces?
Bits and Pieces, Art and Antiques.
Okay.
And I've got cards that have little QR codes and all that kind of stuff whenever I share with people. But it's to get interactive and, make it fun for them. So, we talk about our dog and say that she's customer service. And and then she comes into the shop every once in a while, which will be in there today. And then, like yesterday, I put on a thing about vintage ties. And then it was like, hey, throw these into your wardrobe, and which one do you think I should keep in rock for the fall,
Exactly.
So just trying to make it fun, and because I don't want it to be stuffy. I want it to be creative. I want people to get joy from every part of it. Joy from coming to the store, joy from meeting me, my family, whatever. And that's really all it's all been about, is me finding joy again.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
Finding joy again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Business side of it, are you the finance, the legal, all that kind of things? Is that something that you fit well in, or are you using other people to help with that, or what's your?
Well, it's not really necessarily my cup of tea. I have muddled through parts of it, but I'm not completely unaware of certain business practices and things like that from having been a manager for a period of time. But I do have other resources and people I'm bouncing things off of. Sure. My husband has resources also and people that he knows who, if we're like, should we do this? And then they'll kind of give us some information and advice too. So we've got a decent support system for that. But I really do think I would like to learn more. Yeah. And I know that you guys have the classes, and I plan on taking some of those for sure. Yeah. Because I think that's great to have that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, Ethos offers, and SBDC offers courses and workshops, and no cost for both of those. But yeah, we do the legal for small businesses, and primarily attorney Martin Parsons teaches that, and we also do the accounting, and CPA comes in to do that, and of course we do social media marketing also. So yeah, be happy to help you anytime.
Great.
But I think it's also important to realize what is your cup of tea and what isn't, right? I think starting out, many times we have to wear all the hats, right? But then eventually, and at least have a working knowledge of all the hats.
Yes.
But then eventually understanding which hats you need to take off and maybe outsource to someone else so that you can really help grow the business and be in those things that find you, where you find joy, and not necessarily those things that might weight you down a little bit.
Yes.
I think that's where a lot of, particularly small business owners, kind of fall into a ditch sometimes, is they're trying to wear all the hats, and then they just get really bogged down.
It's too hard.
So I think it is important to keep that in balance as much as possible.
So are you planning for the season that's coming up here, the holidays?
Yes.
Or?
Oh, yes. And I would say that would probably have to be my public service announcement, is making sure that people are going out and supporting, their local artists, local businesses, just connect with your community. I've been there, I've done that. I've shopped big box and big stores and all this kind of stuff, and brought in Amazon, don't get me wrong. But I also was a big supporter of small business too. There's a way to do both. But it really makes a much larger difference to a small business than it's going to make to that larger corporation. So you come down here and you spend your money with all of these wonderful businesses on Tower Square, and it helps them to do more. They can reinvest in their business. They can, think about that storefront, or they can think about, the responsible growth of their business. But yeah, I think that's what's on my mind right now, is how do I make the shop exciting for the holidays? How do I get people in there? How do we promote people coming down here and spending their time and money down here and meeting everyone?
I think it's so important, as you mentioned, depending on when this episode releases, it may be before the holidays, after the holidays, or whenever someone might be listening to it. I think the shop local is something that's top of mind around the holidays for a lot of folks, but really that's a year round, right? And it is getting out and people realizing that by shopping local, they are supporting a local family or families and those jobs and all of those things, as well as getting to know their community. Instead of being behind the phone and ordering the thing that's then going to be delivered at your doorstep, that might be convenient, but getting out and really getting to know your community and supporting those families and business owners is really important.
It is. The walking around, like you said, you go grab a coffee, go shop this store, go, have some lunch, do this. You can make it at least half a day out of it, if not a whole day. Yes. You can really do it. But I think, like you said, it is definitely, you want that to happen year round, especially at the holidays, but because people are just purchasing more and doing things. But year round it needs to happen for sure.
Excellent.
Your final question?
My final question. Sure. I love this question.
Oh, no.
Jennifer, and you kind of touched on it along the way, but what is your why?
Oh, well, My why is because I live in this community. I want to support this community. I want to be able to bring the joy that I found to someone else, whether that's through my art, through them just coming to visit at the store and us chatting about some story, or finding their piece of antique that they are looking for or didn't know they wanted.
Awesome.
I love that. After a long career in healthcare and kind of your second act, or I don't know if you would call it a second act or a new beginning or whatever that might be.
I don't know what the title is for that movie.
Yeah, but it's fun nonetheless. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Jen, how do people find your business?
Well, they can find it on Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, and we are just one block west of the clock, the one block from the clock phrase that the mayor said at my grand opening.
There you
and
go.
he goes, "There you go, there's your hashtag."
One block from the clock.
Exactly.
So yes, one block west, and then if you turn on Van Buren, I've got a side door there, and I have A-frames that say, "Hey, bits and pieces, open now," and directs you there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Jennifer Colboth from Bits and Pieces, Antiques and Collectibles. Did I get that right?
And art and antiques.
Arts and
Antiques.
Antiques. Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's all right.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad to be
It's
here.
been a delight.
Yeah.
I was told you're full of energy and you would come in with a lot of burst, and you saw it through.
I did.
That's
I did.
great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You have a lot of friends
great.
around here, by the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is so cool. Well, we want to thank everyone for watching and listening to the Small Town Big Business podcast. And we want to thank our sponsors for really caring about small businesses and entrepreneurs and supporting us. And thanks again to Arcadia Wealth Group, Banterra Bank, Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, Southern Illinois Now, the Swinford Media Group, Union Street Arts, and the WAG Foundation, the Watermark Auto Group Foundation.
Very good. And again, you can find us on your favorite podcast platform. Over 100 episodes now. And you can also find us on our YouTube channel. Just search Small Town Big Business. And don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. We love sharing this information and all of these great stories, resources, tips, all the things with everyone. So again, I'm Deb Barnett with Southern Illinois Now. You can find us at southernillinoisnow.org.
And I'm Russell Williams, Director of Ethos at the Citadel. Please go to our website, ethosmarion.org, and join as a community member, which is free, but you'll get updates about what we do. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. Have a great day.